Hi guys, welcome to the Unposted podcast. If you don't know me, my name is Liz Bezler, and I'm honestly so nervous. Like, this is my first time just kind of talking to myself. I've wanted to start a podcast literally for like probably 5 years now. I've told my parents, I've told my siblings, I've told everybody around me, I've always wanted to start a podcast because I just have always felt like I had so much to say, and almost like I wanted to talk to a younger version of myself. It's finally happening. I really don't know what I'm doing, and I think that's the craziest part, is that I always thought there would be this point in my life where I'm like, I'm ready to start a podcast. I know exactly what I'm going to say. And the reality is, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I do know that sometimes when I would like drive in my car, I would literally just talk out loud. And in those moments, I was like, why don't I just record this? I should just record this. But I didn't, of course. But I was like, I need to start a podcast. I've always felt that. So we're here, and I'm nervous. And if you can tell in my voice I'm nervous, it's because I am. So I really wanted to hop on here first because this is the first episode. What Unposted is, basically, I'm going to be bringing on a lot of guests. And I'm going to have a lot of people that I've looked up to on social media, in the entertainment world, but some people I've had relationships with for a long time. And I want to get a variety of people that I think would be good to come on here and tell their story and show the things that are not posted online. That's the biggest thing I've learned, I think, growing up in this world of social media evolving so fast, is that social media is not real, and being an influencer or an artist or somebody that has to constantly show up online in their career, I know that it's not real, but it's crazy, again, because growing up, you don't see the behind the scenes of the people that you look up to. Like, I would look up to dancers and artists and celebrities and influencers and reality TV show people on TV, right? And I would look up to them and think, oh my goodness, their lives are perfect. And from a really young age, I've always compared myself. And gosh, not me like wanting to cry. Like, people I've looked up to growing up, I've always been like, gosh, their lives are perfect. And now being on the opposite side of the screen and like being able to post on social media and people see my life in a very specific light. I only let people see what I post. A lot of people probably think, oh, wow, she has a great life. She doesn't go through any struggles. There's nothing beyond what you see online. And after being on that side of the screen and being in this world where I'm surrounded by this social media grind 24/7, I'm like, oh my goodness, there's so much that I feel like people that aren't in this industry, there's so much that you guys don't realize actually goes on with creating content. And that's what I want this podcast to be about. So I'm bringing on people that I feel like will open up and be more vulnerable about their story and things that, I posted this online, but actually I was going through this. And again, social media is just a highlight reel. We don't ever actually post what we are really going through. Even the glamorous shoots and the glamorous things, like, you don't know what they were doing that day. You don't know if they went through a breakup that morning or they had a panic attack on set. All those things you don't see. So this podcast is to kind of shine light on things that you don't see online. So a little bit about me. I feel like you should maybe get to know the host a little bit before, I bring on all these people and learn about their stories. I wanted to do a little mini episode, just a little bit about me and where I come from and what has inspired me to do this podcast. And also, I have so much anxiety. Like, I'm literally shaking right now, and I'm like in my apartment with George. He's helping me film, and I'm nervous. I don't know. Anyway, I even have my notes with me so I don't mess up. Growing up, I lived in Dallas, Texas growing up. I was thrown into a really intense gymnastics program at the age like 6. So from a very young age, I was very competitive, and I was always put in a room where I was compared to other people. And with gymnastics being very physical, I was also very aware of like, oh, I'm not as strong as this person, or my body doesn't look like this person. And I don't think at the time I realized that was, what was happening and how that affected me at such a young age. We would like train at like 6 a.m. I was like partially homeschooled. I went to a private school. And this is also, I could live this like Olympic dream. And I don't think people realize, like, if you want to go to the Olympics for a sport, mine at the time was gymnastics. That was my dream. I wanted to go to the Olympics. That was like, I was like one track minded. Like there was no like playing and having fun and having a childhood. It was, I want to be the best. These kids were put in this environment to work hard and go towards your goals and do kind of anything that it could take mentally, physically, emotionally to get to those goals. And I know gymnastics, I love gymnastics. There's a lot of mental toughness in gymnastics because one, it's extremely difficult, hard work on your body. Two, mentally, like you're training all day, every day. If you miss a day, they always said, if you miss one day, it's like missing a week. Like you can't miss a day. We never had time off. I was like 6 years old. Like I didn't know a difference really. As a kid, you're like, well, I'm just here. Your parents, take you to gymnastics. And I wanted that life. Looking back at photos, I remember there's this one photo, and if I can find it, I'll pull it up on the screen here. There's this one photo where we had a professional team photo, and I was in the TOPS program, which is basically a program where they hand selected you to kind of go down this route to train more intensely to hopefully achieve, the Olympic team one day or something beyond just recreational gymnastics. So if I can pull up this picture, if I have it, I will. There was a team, it was like 6 or 7 of us sitting on a beam like this. And I remember in that moment, I still remember to this day, thinking, suck in your stomach. I was a little girl. Like I was teeny tiny. Like I had no fat on my body. And I remember sitting on this bench, like sucking in my stomach so bad. And I remember getting the photos back and my mom being like, why are you standing like that? I'm like, I don't know. But I knew why. It's because I wanted to look fit and thin. And I think back to all of my different like body dysmorphia and like, judging myself. I very much remember that moment. Being like, I was like 7 years old, like posing like I had to like suck in my stomach to be like, to look good on camera. So long story short, went through the gymnastics world. I was very shy, so I didn't talk, which is also why this is crazy that I'm coming on here and talking openly and freely. And I'm nervous, but I'm not scared to, voice how I feel. But I literally would not talk. I would say for probably like 3-4 years, like I would show up at the gym and people would be like, can you talk? Can you say hi? And I literally would not talk. I was so shy. It was so weird. And I always remember feeling like the outsider. Like I was never the cool kid. I was never the cool friends with everybody. Like I felt like I had to really try to be friends with everybody. And maybe it's because I was shy. So that stuck with me. I moved back to Illinois, where my family grew up, thrown into public school. After being homeschooled and training and all this stuff, my family decided to move back to Illinois. So gymnastics was not a future endeavor for me. I had to stop that, which honestly was probably a good thing. I joined dance, and I met all my best friends in dance to this day. Like thinking back, dancing at my studio, we literally dance from like 3 p.m. right out of school and go until 9 p.m. every single day and travel on the weekends and compete. Dance was my life. So I didn't have friends really outside of dance. Like my friends were my dance friends and people that I literally spent every waking minute with dancing and doing what we love. So that determination kind of mindset from gymnastics kind of rolled over into my dance life. I wasn't popular in school. I had a really hard time making friends in school because I was like, I want to be the best at dance. So that was like my top priority. I knew from a really young age that I wanted to be a dancer, a professional dancer. I was like, this is it. And if people want to support me and, then those people will be my friends. So I have a very small group of friends that I love very much that have supported me and, we're besties. But other than that, I did have a really difficult time in high school, just kind of fitting in and feeling like normal. I don't know. I just feel like from the beginning, like since I moved from Texas, it was like I've always felt like an outsider. Thanks to my dance girls, I had a home, definitely. So growing up in a dance studio, if you're a dancer, you know how toxic growing up in a dance studio can be, and not even from the people that train you or anything like that. It's more so from like think of it this way. You're like half naked. You're in booty shorts and a sports bra, dancing all day, every day, in front of mirrors, dancing next to people that are all different body types. And at an age where you're going through puberty and like everybody's body is different. Some people have boobs, some people don't. Some people have big butts. Some people are really skinny, which is like the dancer body. And at the time, the dancer body was like a twig. And if you weren't a twig, good luck having a career in dance. So I remember being so harsh on my body. I remember getting home from school and being like, I can have 5 crackers today for my snack. Like, what the heck? Like 5 crackers. And if I overate or anything, it was like, oh my gosh, I'm fat. So growing up in that environment where I felt like dance and your success in dance was half talent and half your body really twisted my mind. And still to this day, it's something I struggle with, is just accepting how I look and feel in my own skin. Ugh. Anyway, had to take a breath. So I pursued dance. I went really hard in dance, and I decided I don't care how many friends I have. I don't care about anything. I want to be a professional dancer, and I want to move to LA. So I made my dreams happen. Everybody thought I was literally crazy. I remember there was like a college career day in our senior year, and everybody's like, oh yeah, I'm going to this college. We had to go around and say all the where we were going to school. And I remember being like, I'm going to LA. And at the time, I didn't know I was going to LA. I had no college plans. I had no plans actually set in stone to move to LA. My mom was very supportive. My dad was still like, you're crazy. That's not happening. You're going to school. But I was like, no, I'm going to LA. That's what I'm doing. I'm dancing in LA. And people were literally like, what? Okay. Well, you probably should have a backup plan. You probably should figure out what school you want to go to. And I just remember being like, no, I'm going to go to LA. No, literally no plans. Flash forward, graduate high school, no plans. No plans set in stone. And the summer goes by, and I have no plans to go to college. I'm like, well, I don't know. Maybe I'll just work and save up money so I can move to LA. Because I was like, Dad, I just want to move to LA. And he's like, well, we're not doing that. LA's expensive, and we can't afford that. So not going to happen. And you're not just going to go to another city, like literally 18 years old, and like kind of float around and not know what you're doing. Flash forward. I feel like I say that a lot. I'm so sorry. But about 2 weeks before this big audition, this audition was called Edge Scholarship, and this was something I was like, oh, I really want to do, but I don't think I believed in myself enough yet. So that was like, I really want to audition for this, but like, I don't think it's worth it. 2 weeks before this audition, I asked my parents, can you take me? They say, no, we just took you to Vegas for another audition. Let me tell you guys though, leading up to this point, no after no after no after no was what I was told with dance. Like, auditions for companies and conventions and schools. It was no after no after no, reject. And I was like, well, shit, maybe I'm not good enough. But I was like, no, I'm going to save up money and then I'm going to move to LA. Then I found out about Edge Scholarship audition. I called my grandma. I was like, hi, Grandma, do you want to take me to this audition in LA? Long story short, she did end up taking me, and I did end up getting this scholarship, which they took like 20 kids at the time. And it was a whole dance program. You trained with all the professional choreographers for a year. And then at the end of the year, you got signed with an agent or got to do a showcase. So that was a blessing. And I feel like that was really like God being like, no, you're supposed to be here. Like, thinking back, the story's crazy. I'll go more into depth in another episode because it's a whole episode in itself. But in that moment, I was like, I'm meant to be here. So got my agent. Again, went through body dysmorphia problems, dancing next to amazing dancers now, not just hometown dancers. Now I'm dancing with like the best of the best. So I'm constantly comparing myself to everybody in the room. It was really difficult, really, really hard year of my life of just like beating myself down, not feeling good enough. And with dance, it's like if you don't get called out in class, or you weren't put in a piece, or you weren't given a solo in this number, then you weren't good enough. And I remember at the time I was like eating really unhealthy and just really not living a good, healthy lifestyle. And I remember being called into my director's office, and he literally told me, you do not have the body to get an agent, and you will never work in the industry if you don't fix your body. And this was 2 weeks before my big showcase for all these agents. So what do I do for the next 2 weeks? I like basically starve myself, and that didn't do anything because of the stress and everything. So it didn't even change my physical appearance. It literally made me more stressed and just honestly probably made me look worse. But anyway, another story, another time for another story. Life happened. I danced in the industry for several years. A lot of shit happened. Dance is like not for the weak. It's very, very difficult. Dancers in my mind work the hardest in the industry and get the lowest pay and the least respect. So dancing in that environment for years and years, again, took a mental toll. Just trying to pay rent. You can't pay rent as a dancer unless you're constantly booking jobs. I got out of that. I got into the music industry. And this is where my social media brain kind of turned on because I had to. As an artist, you have to be online. You have to be present on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. All of the platforms, it's not even about your talent anymore. I didn't even realize this because I always thought success was based off of talent, and it's not based off of talent. I remember getting into this space where I would have agents and managers, they were doing their job telling me, you need to post online. You need to have these scandalous headshots showing your body. You need to always wear makeup. I remember there was an event. I was in a music group, and there was an event that my manager tried to get the group into. And I didn't have a big TikTok at the time. I had like maybe 30,000 followers on TikTok, and in the world of entertainment, that's not that much. And I didn't take my TikTok seriously at the time. I was like, this is a joke. I still post stupid stuff on my TikTok if you want to follow it. Post so like the most irrelevant, stupid stuff on my TikTok. My Instagram is where I like got glammed up, but my TikTok was like, I don't care about this platform. And I remember my agent calling me and being like, hey, 2 of the girls were accepted to get into this event and 2 of you weren't, and you're one of them who was not accepted into this event. Like all these events are just so cool in LA. They're not. But they said they loved my Instagram, but my TikTok, I didn't have makeup on. And that's why I didn't get into an event. So yeah, it just really makes you hate the industry. Now I have to wear makeup every time I get on camera because I have to fulfill this image that other people have set for me. My manager was great. She always vouched for us. Love her and everything that she's done for me. But the industry in itself, I've seen a lot. Long story short, I know what it's like to you have to show up online in a certain way. And that's what sucks, is to be in entertainment, an actress, a dancer, a singer, an artist. Any of those categories, an influencer, you literally have to show up with a full face of makeup or you're not taken seriously. So this is where I have a full face of makeup on, yes, but this is where I want to shed light on the things that aren't so pretty. We have to show up like this. We have to show up with makeup on. Otherwise, we won't show up. We will be turned down from opportunities. And I think that's really unfortunate that the world has come to this, that we have to look a certain way, especially women and females in the industry. Again, another topic for another day. We have to show up a certain way, physically, personality. We have to act a certain way online. And a lot of times it's not because we want to, it's because we have to, or we can't make a living. That's just the reality of it. Unposted podcast. It's really about showcasing that everybody's similar. Whether you're a big guru in the industry, or you work at your local grocery store or McDonald's, or you work at a school as a teacher, or you're a nurse, or you're a construction worker, I don't know, any job, like every single person, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, has gone through something and has struggles. And I think we compare ourselves so much to the people that we look up to and the people that we see online. And it's like, oh, they have all these beautiful things in their home, and oh my goodness. But I promise you, it's just because it looks that way, it's not that way. I want to say 90% of the time, there's a lot of things that you don't see. I always say this, like, I feel like if everybody would talk about their struggles, people don't talk about them because they don't want to feel weak or whatever. They're scared of getting judged or perceived a certain way. But I think if everybody were to be able to open up and talk about, hey, this happened to me, I don't think they realize that their struggle is going to help the person next to them, because there's so many people that go through the same things we don't even realize. So whether you're sitting on your couch right now or in your car, or you're on your way to your 9-to-5 job, or you are an influencer, we all have the same struggles. We all go through the same stuff. We just show it differently. And I hope this podcast can show you that you're not alone. Gosh, I have to not cry. I can't mess up my makeup. But I want to make this podcast for my younger self, and just for, I have siblings, younger siblings that I see, and family and friends that I see struggle with things, you know, anxiety and depression and just really shitty situations. And I just, if I can help anybody, it's all you people that are feeling like you don't have a voice, or like that you're unheard. So yeah, stay tuned, guys, for this. I wouldn't even say it's a season. I really want this to be ongoing, but this season right now for me is having guests on and kind of shining light on their lives, other people's lives, and hopefully it'll connect to you. Again, it's not as it seems. If I'm put on this freaking earth for one thing, I just hope that I can help one person. So anyway, if you have any questions or want me to talk about a very specific topic or go more into depth on things, please just DM me. It's at Unposted Podcast on Instagram. I also have my personal page at Liz Bezler. Also on Instagram, I work mainly off of those two off of Instagram. I think that's like my go-to platform. So if you have anything you would like to add, or just, you know, shout out or give me any advice or things that you want to share, I would love to hear from you. And yeah, stay tuned, guys, for an awesome season of Unposted Podcast. Bye.